Hello everyone. Today I talk about dark matter and consciousness. I hope you will enjoy the topic. What is consciousness? There is a simple statement that consciousness is awareness of internal and external existence. When I want to learn more about consciousness from literature, I'm confused by so many different descriptions of consciousness. Based on this Macmillan Dictionary of Psychology, consciousness is like the having of perceptions, thoughts, and feelings. Awareness, the term is impossible to define except in terms that are unintelligible without a grasp of what consciousness means. Many fall into the trap of equating consciousness with self-consciousness. To be conscious, it is only necessary to be aware of the external world. Consciousness is a fascinating but elusive phenomenon. It's impossible to specify what it is, what it does, or why it has evolved. Nothing had been written on it. Even though it says nothing was written, I still read a few articles, albeit I met a lot of psychological terms I have never heard of before. But I found that basically there are four questions that are frequently asked by scholars. Number one, how is consciousness established? Number two, whether materials are required for consciousness. Number three, can consciousness exist in the universe independent of our brain? Number four, does mammals and other low species of life have consciousness? After you listen to my talk, you will know the answers to all these questions immediately. Let's start with my personal experience. Happened to me 5 years ago. On June 1st, 2017, at about 9:30 a.m., I was driving south on I-270 and planned to exit the highway at Montrose Bridge towards the east. At spot A, I suddenly lost my self-consciousness. I couldn't think. I didn't know who I was, where I was going. After about 30 to 50 seconds, I regained my self-consciousness and realized I was at spot B of the bridge. I can recall every detail of the whole incident afterwards. In the next 2 days, I drove to the bridge a couple of times just to figure out what happened to me. How come I did a shortcut from spot A to spot B through a non-existing road? Since June 1st, 2017, I often think of what happened to me that day. As a scientist of 56 years, I know there must be science over there. Within that short 50 seconds, when I lost my self-consciousness, which means I lost my brain functions temporarily, there was something basic in my brain that is still there, which kept me awake. It was crystal clear, absolutely quiet, and extremely peaceful. Also, when my self-consciousness is gone, that something basic was so powerful that it hijacked me as well as my car and gave us a shortcut from spot A to spot B on west side of Montrose Bridge. This means that something basic hidden in my brain had the power to bend space and time. I should acknowledge that I'm not the first person to experience this. There are many other similar records in history. I have my explanation below. This basic something in my brain is different from anything of the Earth's forces, including electric, magnetic, strong and weak forces. I believe it is nothing known to human beings before. I believe it is the dark matter, the mysterious substance of the universe that astrophysicists have long been looking for. Based on my experience in medicine for 40 years, I propose a model or theory that our brain is able to trap dark matter. The structure that possibly has the capacity to capture dark matter particles is the central region of the brain, which consists of ventricles and surrounding neural fibers, depicted on the right. I give it a simple name, V, depicted on the left. In my previous video, I explained this theory and provided supporting evidence from other neurologists. I encourage the audience to search my video, Dark Matter and Us. Based on my theory, there are 6 important points I want to emphasize. First, dark matter exists in our brain. Second, dark matter is the core of our consciousness. My 2017 experience suggests that consciousness can be divided into 2 parts. First, the normal and full brain activity, which generates self-consciousness, thinking, perception, etc. Second, basic consciousness, which is dark matter, the true foundation of the so-called consciousness in literature. 3. Dark matter provides basic consciousness to all animals who have a V structure. In other words, if a creature has a functional V structure, it should have a certain level of consciousness, because it can capture dark matter particles. All mammals may have the same type of basic consciousness, because one group of neurologists studied over 200 species of mammals and found that they all developed a similar brain connectome to humans. This means they all have a similar V structure. 4. The size of V could determine the amount of dark matter particles and the degree of consciousness. Number 5. Continuous interaction of dark matter particles with the inner brain structures may generate quantum waves of signals, which drives constant shift of our mind. This is something interesting for neurologists to understand how our mind is generated. Number 6. Heat is generated by dark matter and normal matter interaction based on physicists, which increases along with age. This is based on the recent publication. This may induce protein instability and denaturation. I believe this may cause Alzheimer's disease. Here, this is a research idea for neurologists to think about. Finally, if you have any comments, please leave it below this video or send an email to this address. I thank you for listening.